Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Wednesday, August 21st, and welcome to an all-new episode of Style by Stevie. It is also day 3 of the DNC. Last night at the DNC, day 2 was pretty lit. I mean, you had Patti LaBelle, you had Common. I love DJ Cassidy when he did the roll call. Then the Obamas showed up and showed out. And when I tell you, President Obama came through and gave us a word like none other. First Lady Michelle Obama, our forever First Lady, came through and gave us an amazing word also too. So those are just a few of the highlights from last night's DNC. It's been pretty lit. It was like a cook. I must say this, the DNC was way better and brought in more viewership than the RNC, which was a whole circus. Now, here's what's going on. Here's the champagne, Fashion Dolls. If you guys do not know, Donald Trump has been contacting Netanyahu behind the scenes, whereas our beautiful Madam Vice President and our president right now, Joe Biden, have been working to get a ceasefire deal for Gaza and Palestine. Here's what's been going on. You have the Mango Mussolini, the dictator-in-chief, Donald Trump, who is now contacting Netanyahu behind the scenes, telling Netanyahu, no, don't do it. So for all my pro-Gaza, pro-Palestine people, have that same smoke that you have for Kamala, for Donald Trump as well too. Because this is wrong. And what he's doing is a violation of the Logan Act. I'm not sure if you guys know what the Logan Act is, but I will dive a little bit deeper into that, probably closer to the end of this show. But today's special guest is an Emmy-nominated actor. And I'm super excited to have him here in the Dollhouse. And you might know him from a certain hit show that our girl Issa Rae produced, which we'll get into once he gets here. But I wanted to start the show off talking about this because this is serious. If you guys are not registered to vote, I need you guys to please go to vote.org and get registered to vote. This election is not one where you can just sit back on the couch and vote the couch. Voting the couch means, no, I'm just going to sit home. I'm not going to do nothing. No, your freedom is at stake. And if you are a woman, your right to choose will also be at stake. So that's neither here nor there. I need you guys to please get out and vote this November 5th. And if you're a woman, I'm a woman. And it's very, very important that we continue to fight for our rights to choose. So, all right. So without further ado, let's welcome our very handsome, sexy, special guest, Emmy-nominated actor Sean Samuels, ladies and gentlemen. That's right.
Miss Stevie, how
Hello.
you doing? Hello, hello, hello. How's it
I'm
going?
doing wonderful. How are you, handsome?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. You look great as well.
It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
So, before we get into this conversation and in this interview, how has 2024 been for you so far?
Oh, wow. 2024 has been a coaster, I should say. There's been some great moments. There's been some not so great moments, but taking every day in stride. But I'm just happy to be alive. 2024 has been interesting, though. I haven't thought about it in that succinct of a way, but yeah, thank you for asking.
Yes, 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 yes. And I'm so glad to have you here. Now, let's start from the beginning in this journey because I always start from the beginning with all my guests, getting to know them and their journey from then to now. So tell us about yourself, where you grew up, how many siblings. I always ask my guests this question and so much more. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, taking it back, taking it back. Well, I'm originally from New York. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up between Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island. I usually say my formative years happened in Queens and Long Island. I went to high school in Long Island, Elmont, if anybody from Elmont's out there. Then I also, in addition to going to academic school, how performance got started was from a very young age. I was always doing things as a kid, flipping on the bed and like always performing for my family, which I have some brothers. Is everything okay?
Yes, I had to get my other buds. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries, no worries, no worries. Yeah, take your time. But yeah, I was always performing as a kid. The very first experience that I remember performing was during summer camp, oddly enough, and there was a dancing or a talent show that took place. And the very first experience of me performing in front of strangers was that, and I did a freestyle to Brandy sitting up in my room. And from that moment, it was just like I knew I was meant to be a performer. So that's how it kind of started. I went to performing arts high school. Then I went to performing arts conservatory, which I graduated from with a BFA. And shortly after graduating conservatory, I was making a Broadway debut in Tarzan the musical, and that's really where my career started and took place in New York as a theater performer. But right now, I'm in Los Angeles as a TV film performer, still pursuing theater when the opportunity arises, but also a daytime Emmy nominated actor, as you mentioned before. Thank you for saying that. And yeah, still on the journey of becoming all that I dream of being. Dream never stops, dream never dies. Um, Even from going all the way back to like my first thing performing in the theater was Oliver, and I got my first name role, and just each thing reminded me and just kept telling me, oh yeah, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this. So yeah, I just kind of stuck with it.
Now, you said musical. You've done a number of musical. Let's go down the list here, shall we? You've done Tarzan the musical. You've done Curtains. You've done Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Turn Off the
that's right.
Dark. You've done
Right.
so many, going down your accolades of musicals that you've
Yeah,
completed.
I
So
hear
out
you.
of all, now you also have had a musical background, musical theater background as well
That's
too. Brooklyn,
correct.
I love going there for a beef patty with cheese and some real Jamaican whiskey.
Beef patty and some cocoa red, right? Yeah, Brooklyn is fun. Brooklyn is fun because there is so much culture there, and I think I learned. I spent a lot of my baby years in Brooklyn, but I really would say that Queens is almost the same with all the culture that is in Queens, and it has shaped me and built me into the performer that I am to take me to places like Broadway. Yes, you are correct. I did Tarzan, The Curtains, and Spider-Man: Turn Up the Dark. Spider-Man: Turn Up the Dark was the last show I did before I moved out to Los Angeles. And I've been in LA for about 12 years now, so that was kind of a while ago. But I think about those moments all the time because it really has shaped me and formed me into the kind of actor that I want to be. Um, Being around so many different like legends, like Patrick Page was in Spider-Man: Turn Up the Dark, and he's a legendary actor. And even the newer ones, Reeve Carney, who was in Spider-Man, who's a amazing musician and singer. So just being around all that, because I was really on the younger side of things. My first Broadway show, I was turning 20 by the time we opened the show. So jumping into it coming out of conservatory, I was placed with such, big wigs and heavy hitters. Merle Dandridge is another one that comes to mind. Who I don't know if you know, she was on Greenleaf, and she was always a mentor of mine at some point when I was doing Tarzan. So I always had something there saying, yeah, you're in the right place, and I had really great icons to look up towards.
Now, how I came to know you, because I went back and I've used some of your previous work, but
Yeah.
how I remember you is from Giants with Issa Rae.
Oh, maybe you can't hear me. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. I don't hear you that well, Miss Stevie. I was just talking to you. Okay. I hear you. I can hear you. I'm not sure if the.
Perfect. Let me take the earbuds out. Can y'all
Okay.
hear me now?
Mhm.
Perfect. All right. Now I was saying how we got to know you is through Issa Rae's show that she executive produced, Giants.
Right.
What was that experience like for you?
Oh, that was a fun time. That was a really great experience. That happened almost maybe I would say 8 years ago. I can't believe how time flies. So yes, Issa Rae did executive produce, but the show was created by this wonderfully talented man named James Bland, who I was blessed to meet during my early years here in Los Angeles. And he was writing a show. He was getting a show together, and he had a role in mind for me, and it became that I was right for what he had in mind. And it really had humble beginnings. It was us and an additional one of his best friends from Florida, Vanessa, and she and him and I was this trio on Giants. The first season was really humble beginnings, you know, making the schedule work the best way we could make it work. It was, I believe, the first place that it was on was YouTube. So it was really humble, really fun. But then by the time second season came around, it took legs, it grabbed a whole new eyes of people watching it, and more creatives came on board. It was something that I was able to see from a little seed grow into this huge, huge giant plant. No, no pun intended. But it was a really special time in my life, especially leading up towards the nominations, and of course we got some wins from best performances and all those good things. So it was one of my first experiences really understanding like how something that just turns from a passion project into something that
Yeah.
really catches an audience and relates and connects to an audience. That was really something special to me.
Now, Jesse Smollett also was one of the executive producers on this show.
That's
So, what was it like working with these two triple that threats? I couldn't get it out. Threats together on
You
this
know,
project.
I met Jesse on occasion, maybe once or twice. I never really got to meet Issa Rae, but just knowing that their names were attached to the project always just was comforting to me, because I knew that we were supported by such people who were respected in the industry, who are respected in the industry. So I just always knew that being associated with them through Giants, through James Bland, Jesse, and Issa, they were always trying to push a good, relatable stories. So I never had to worry about wondering if the story was going to be told correctly because they were honest stories, they were true stories. And I think as producers, they really know how to vision that and know how to um, deliver it to the audience.
And from there on, you've went. That was a hit show, but you went on to do more other hit shows as well too. Let's go down the list. You've done Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
You've done Welcome to Chippendales, which is a story. We know what happened with the gentleman who owned Chippendales. The
Right,
story
right,
is told.
right.
You've done Family Reunion. You've done 911. You've done Bosch. You've done NCIS. I could go on and on. You
I
have a
appreciate
very
that.
extensive resume of work. Now, 911, I'm going to go back to 911 because that show is very physical. It's like
Right.
you were one of the SWAT team snipers. So we know Angela Bassett is the leading lady on that show. So
Yeah.
did you get a chance to meet her, and what was that experience like? Because I know doing shows like SWAT or NCIS or CSI, you're literally
Yeah.
hands on. So
Hands
what
on.
was it like for you to get into character for this show?
That was a really interesting time actually, because that was the first time I actually got to play something that was really militant. I had to learn how to shoot the sniper gun, and it was I felt in my real masculinity in that show. I did not get to be on set with Angela Bassett, but she was someplace around in her trailer. But again, just knowing that she is an executive producer on top of starring in the show, it was just it was something that I could pat my back on, and it was a goal of mine to be on a show like that or shows like that in pretty much any respect. You know, there's so many different levels of starring in a show, and I'm always so grateful for whatever level that casting or whoever sees me in. So yeah, that was a really fun time, and it was right local. You know, I didn't have to fly too far. It was here in LA. I got to shoot that. Most things shoot elsewhere, maybe in Atlanta, maybe Texas. But it was really cool to be able to work on something so big and still be local.
Um, my fraternal says I don't know why, but he gives me the heir to an African empire.
I appreciate that. I take that African royalty any day.
Now you've got two upcoming projects coming up as well, which we'll talk about. You have Losing You to You, and then you also have Wages of Sin, which is coming out. Which project, which is in post production, which project are you looking forward to coming out?
Yeah, well, losing you to you, that was actually a project that I worked on years ago that I'm not really sure where it stands in terms of production. But that was kind of more of abstract dance. I got to use my dance skills in that, and that was a really beautiful piece
Mm.
that I got to work on. So hopefully that will come out for more eyes to see at some point. And Wages of Sin was a project that I did, I think, maybe 2 years ago, which I think is also in post production. And that was another one where I got to use some of my range as an actor in terms of the characters, Tyrone, and he was kind of like a strong man, not a mob boss, but kind of in that vein where he was tough. He was strong, holding a lot of people in town. I don't want to give the movie away too much, but yeah, I got to play a bad guy in that one versus a sniper who's trying to save the world in 911.
So it is clearly obvious that you are a very beautiful man. And I've
Thank
had the pleasure of being influenced some beautiful guys this week. We want
you.
to, and you know, this is a fashion and beauty
I love fashion.
platform.
Yeah.
So you know where I'm going with this.
Mhm.
The melanin, how do you keep your skin
Oh my God.
so just, what are some of your secrets?
You know
We want
what?
to know
I
if you
don't
and Emmy.
know. You have great skin as well, so I'm gonna have to ask you some of your routine in as well. But I like to tone. If I don't wash my face, I'm at least finding my tone and my astringent just to maybe get off that first layer of dirt from the day. Sometimes I may be too tired to wash it, and like getting my face wet sometimes wakes me up too much, and I'm ready to go to bed. But I will find my astringent and tone my face. I try to eat clean. I don't do too much fast foods. I don't do sodas. I don't really eat chocolate, and those are things that I've noticed for myself that don't that lead to me having breakouts. So when I cut those things, it maintains my skin a little bit more. But yeah, that astringent and that moisturizer with SPF really goes a long way.
We got to protect the melanin.
We
I'm
do.
glad you said SPF. We're in the summer months, and a lot of people think that they can just wear sunscreen. No, but we got to protect our melanin too. And there are black-owned sunscreen companies out there, so that is imperative. And I'm gonna go back to what you just said also too, because what you eat, what you put in your body, is also a reflection of you. So that means I just had some carrots a few minutes ago. I love
Yeah, I
carrots.
love
So my
carrots.
mom was like, "Do you eat carrots? Do you eat celery?" So she just brought me a bunch of vegetables. It's important that we include these things into our eating as well too, because
Absolutely,
what you eat is a
100%.
reflection of you.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go back for a minute because you said no fast food.
Mhm. Listen, everyone has their thing, and if you have fast food, I mean, once or twice a month, that's your thing. I just noticed for me that when I eat fast food and it becomes a habit, I'm way more sluggish. The skin does get a little bit dull, and I don't feel my best. So if I'm eating too much fast food, I have enough self-awareness to say, okay, I got to make a switch. I got to pivot for at least the
Oh
next
yeah.
couple of weeks and make sure I eat. Like I was just in New York a couple of weeks ago, and I was eating nothing but cakes and stuff because it was my mother's birthday. So I was like, I'm not gonna turn this down. I'm celebrating my mother's life. So yes, I do have my share of junk food, but for the most
Moderation.
part,
In
in moderation.
moderation.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
and you said New York. So my father's from New York, and we have family near Brownsville and Brooklyn
Nice.
as well.
Yeah.
So we know, y'all know where I'm going. Y'all know one of my pleasures, and I say this all the time here on the show. It is pepperoni pizza. So if you
Pepperoni.
go to New York, the slices of pizza are
Yeah,
huge.
they are.
So in moderation, I
I
tell
do
people
love some
this.
pizza. I do love a New York pizza, and I can't deny that. So yeah, you're right about that. And also, to be honest, the New York Chinese food is in a whole different level than than the LA Chinese food. I mean, not to mention that in a lot of LA Chinese food restaurants here, you have to pay in addition for white rice. In New York, you're getting it with your meal. So I do miss New York for certain things, and plus the culture. Like I love empanadas, so empanada mama,
Oh yeah.
in Hell's Kitchen, around Hell's Kitchen, and everything. Just you can find food in New York, and New York is never a problem. And I love food. I just know that certain things I need to stay away from more so than other things.
Let me ask you this, because you said about moisturizers. How do you feel about serums?
Feel about it. Say again.
Serums. How do you feel about
Serum.
serums?
Oh
Because
yeah,
yeah.
I've tried the vitamin C serum, and I did enjoy it. I just don't use it enough, and by the time I get back to it, it's dried out or the potency has died. So I just need to find the right serum. I have not really. I've tried one or two vitamin C serums, even this type of face mask that looks red on the face. So it almost looks like a bloody mask or something like that. I forget what it's called. But I think it's supposed to be like a light exfoliant, a liquid light exfoliant. I even tried that, but other than that, yeah, I'm pretty much of a soap and water kind of a guy. with moisturizer.
Look at his skin, y'all. It's
Thank,
glowing. We're
thank
both
you. I
up glowing. Even
appreciate
though I've
that.
got on a pound of makeup, even though underneath, still make sure that I take care of my skin.
Yeah,
And it's imperative if you have makeup on throughout the day, you're getting home, you sometimes forget to take it off. I always use
right.
wipes, and then I go in with the
That's
deep cleanser. And
right.
then in the morning, what's really got me hooked right now is Sunday Riley's Good Jeans.
Oh,
And what I love about it is that I have dark spots in certain spots on my face, and I
yeah.
target those dark
Yeah,
spots.
the
And this
hyperpigmentation,
is what
you get
makes
that,
it glow.
being
Yeah.
melanated. I get that, yeah. I will usually get ingrown hairs. That's another thing that I also use too is bump stock. For those who like to keep their hair a little bit short on their necks and on their faces. Because I grew up having such bad ingrown hairs. It was almost embarrassing to me sometimes. But I've learned how to take care of that and remedy that. So that was a learning curve.
For a lot of fellas, if you shave, you shave up under here, you get those
Yes.
bumps. So it's important that you take care of that too, folks.
Yeah.
So it's important and imperative for all men to have a skincare regime. So I had to ask because I'm pretty sure I was gonna get messages from some of the fellas like, why didn't she ask him that question? Or
Thank you.
I would
Yeah.
have got it. So
Appreciate that.
had to ask. So with your projects, you have two projects coming out. What is next in the chapter for Sean Samuels? I mean, like, you've accomplished everything. You are an Emmy nominated actor. How does that feel, first off, before we dive into the next chapter? How does that feel? And I always ask my guests this question: what's your mama say about it?
My mom is proud. My mom is proud. She helped me. She supported me all the way through conservatory, and she made sure that I had the things that I needed, both emotionally and mentally. So my mom is very proud. And what's next for me is that I also do some music on the side. So I have some music that I've been working on in the past couple of months that I'll just release from time to time and share with the world and whoever decides that they have time to listen. I'm always grateful for new ears on my music. Also trying to work on some screenplays as well, maybe even a book someplace in the near future. I do would love to be published at some point in my life, so that is a goal of mine. And just have a lot of things on the back burner that I've been working on, maybe through the pandemic and forward, that I've just been leaving there and looking at it and assessing what the purpose is. Because for me, art is something very personal.
Oh, yeah.
So when I do share things with the world, it's because I really thought about it, and I felt that people needed to be a part of it, whether they send a message or not, or if they just view it and keep it moving. If I say like I made a song and I post about it and I want people to know about it, even if I get one view, I feel grateful because I know it's hard out there. It's hard in this business to really keep your momentum and your motivation because it can be a very the industry can be harsh at times. And I say that because last year we had, the writer's strike and so many strikes, all these different things. So the momentum has been kind of tripling for the last couple of months for a lot of people. So just to stay passionate is really what my goal is, and I've been doing that, working on my own material. Uh,
And I'm so glad that you brought that up because we was not expecting the pandemic and then
right,
years later for the writer strike to happen. It totally took the whole Hollywood entertainment business by
definitely did.
surprise. And I remember so many actors saying, on the strike, on the picket line saying, what are we going to do now for work?
Yes,
And we see certain networks are airing shows over and over and over again. I'm just like, yeah, you need those
right,
actors. Pay them what they're
right,
worth. The union workers.
right.
That that's laborious because you're on set for long hours from morning to
Oh,
night,
absolutely.
and that is very important that
Absolutely. If
you
you
do
are
this
a
work.
series regular on a TV show, you can be on set for 16 hours easy, because it's your name and you being hired as number one on the call sheet requires so much responsibility. So yeah, you can spend so much time and giving you have, appropriate representation, you can acquire a pretty penny as well. So yeah, it goes hand in hand in terms of production and keeping yourself healthy to maintain that is very important as a performer.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you said writing a script, and you said music is next for you
Mhm.
in that chapter.
Yeah.
My next question for you is, because I see the shift with all of this representation, with you being an artist that has worked in theater, that has done live on stage Broadway in theater, in real time. Are you seeing that shift? How do you feel about the shift that is happening with black filmmakers and directors? Like, I give you an example, The Wiz. The
Oh,
Wiz is still going on. They're still
yeah.
taping, and we've got Deborah Cox, we got Avery Wilson. I mean, an all ensemble
Yeah.
cast. And then you have August Wilson, the piano lesson,
Yes.
Latanya Richardson, and Samuel Jackson, and then Candy
Yeah.
from
Yes.
Escape. They're all on board in this project. So, are you seeing the shift with Black, or shall I call it Black Broadway, where we are now seeing ourselves more and more represented?
I love Black Broadway because we've grown up understanding the Great White Way, and
Yeah.
I understand that has so many different meanings. But to see Broadway include so much more melanated shows, people of color shows, it really is inspiring. I actually got to see The Wiz at the Pantages when it was here in its previews, and the show was phenomenal. The voices were phenomenal. The acting was phenomenal. The Wiz is one of my favorite musicals, by the way. So just to see it live, it professionally, I got to do it when I was in high school, but it's a high school production. But to see it so professionally done with Deborah Cox, with all of the fantastic,
Oh, yeah.
it really brought joy to my heart. I really did. And I also saw The Strange Loop when it was here at the Amazon a couple of weeks ago, and that was another poignant theater of color. A strong black voice in theater, and it just showed me how far we have come from when I was just studying musical theater in New York at ages 17 and 18. um, that we have a voice. Each voice is so different. Each vision is so different. We're not a monolith, and every story is just as important as the other, as the next. And the more we dig into this, the more I think our eyes are going to be open. And I think it also doesn't, because I heard you before we started talking about voting, it's just going to inspire more voices, more people wanting to be seen and to be perceived, to tell their side of the things, because your
Absolutely.
side, there's my side, there's that side, and I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it.
Absolutely. And it's important because when I said this yesterday with my guest, Salvage in Bermuda, we were talking fragrance, and
Hmm.
we were talking about, as both as black women, we were talking about seeing more representation of us.
Yes.
And I said, with me working in fashion, when I look through a uh, Vogue magazine,
Yes.
I want to see inclusivity. I
Absolutely.
want to see a model that looks like me. So when
Absolutely.
I watch The Wiz on Broadway, I expect to see someone, exactly, an actor who looks just like me. Same skin tone, same hair texture, but I love what you also said, and I've been saying this as well too, which is we're not a monolith.
Hmm. No, we're not. We're not. There's so many different stories. I mean, whether you're Caribbean, West Indian, or you're Haitian, or you're UK Black African from Africa,
Oh
from
yeah.
Nigeria. There's so many different stories, and I understand that the word Black has a whole litany of different viewpoints of what that really means, depending on who you speak to. But regardless, at the base of it, we all have something to say, and we all deserve to be heard. And I think seeing all these different stories, even going back to Giants and Insecure and all these different shows that have come out, Atlanta that has been coming out over the last 5 to 7 years, is just showing us that don't don't hold your story because you think someone else is telling you your story. Your story is not going to be the same as someone else's story, so you get it out there the best way you possibly can.
And it's important that we continue to tell our stories. And I tell my guests that whenever they come on the show. Sunshine, K Tukes, if you see her, y'all, Ali and all of y'all can attest to that. When I tell my guests they come on, you are in, when my guests come on, they take the pilot seat. Yes, I'm the host of the platform, but I let them take that pilot seat because it's
Love
their
it.
story to tell.
Yeah,
And then we rotate back and forth. Even though I'm the hostess of the platform, I let my guests take that pilot seat
that's
because is their story to tell, not mine. And they can do it any way they want to do it.
Yeah,
And then their story impacts the next person and the next person and the next person. There they are. They
that's
attested to
correct.
it. They are.
Hi.
That is exactly true. Because when you have a platform like this, when you're hosting a platform, yes, you are the host of it, but you allow people to tell their story
Yeah.
their way. And I have no right or wrong answer to tell people to say, okay, you got to say it like this, you got to say it like this. And people have been thinking I've been doing it. I'm just like, no, no. I
Mhm.
had no idea that my guest was going to share this with me or bring awareness to this on my platform. I'm just the hostess here,
Yeah.
but it's their story to tell, and their story can impact the next person and the next person's lives just from watching. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's always great to have a host too, where they make it so personable and so easy to talk to, like talking to a friend. So I really appreciate you for having me and listening. You know, that's also really important as a host, and I see that you're a great listener, based on today and from what I've seen in the past.
What you seen in the past? Which interview you seen, Sean?
From the clips that you post on your, because I've met, we've come to know each other from you asking me to do this. So I have
Yeah.
seen clips come across my Instagram, and you always bring such personality, and you don't dim anyone else's light through your personality. So thank you.
My mother always taught me to give people their flowers. She says life is too short. And I still have my mother. I lost my sister in
Oh, wow, I'm sorry.
2018 of this year. Thank you. And my mom always tells me this. She said, we got to come together. We got to work together now because I have four brothers and I have two sisters. One of my sisters, as I said, when passed away back in August. And she always made sure that we give people their flowers. So when my guests come on, I give them all their flowers. I'm a fan of their work. I try not to fangirl, but I still keep it professional, and I have fun doing it. It's a joy to me, bringing joy to other people, knowing that I can be like a light in people's lives in these dark times that we're having. It is definitely needed.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Let me read some of you guys' comments. Can't wait for your show to blow up. You always do such a great job, and you make your guests feel comfortable. Always. Thank you. One of my guests DM'd me after one of my interviews and said, "You made me feel so
Yeah,
comfortable. I was nervous. You're nervous. I'm nervous because I don't know how you're going to receive
yeah,
me, and we're both feeling it together. But I try to make my guests feel comfortable at home. Like, no, no, no. I know interviews can be nerve wracking because I've done interviews, and I
yeah,
posted mine that I did with Marcos. I had no clue what he was going to ask me. He came on the show, but I said, you know what? This has got to be real. An interview should be personable because you are sharing a side of yourself with the
yeah,
world that people never know.
yeah,
And you can be the most private person, which I am. I don't reveal a whole lot. But this interview was time for me to show transparency, the
that's right.
layers.
Yeah,
What? Because everybody has layers to them. We're multifaceted.
this is true.
So people want to know more. We're a mystery and we're a big question mark. And sometimes people are just like curious. What is it about this person? Why are they so
True.
happy? Or
Yeah,
why do they bring so much joy? And it's up to us to tell our own stories of what brings us joy, what brings us happiness, what brings us anger, what brings us all of these different emotions.
yeah.
And so for me, when doing an interview, it's nerve wracking because the shoe was on the other foot. I'm not in that pilot position
Yeah,
anymore. I'm in the passenger side. And when I'm on that guest's platform, they are in the pilot seat.
that,
So I love when I did my interview with him, he allowed me to share as much as I wanted to share with the world, and I got it out there, and people know. And it's just like a weight. Once you get it out, it's like a weight has been lifted off of you.
and
So I
that's
know.
and that's what I loved. Because honestly, I'm not the kind of actor who loves the step and repeat, who loves the cameras like that. I can do it, and I can get dressed up, and I love to get dressed up because like I said before, I love fashion. But there are parts of it that feel so impersonal to me. And for me
Mm,
to really get down to the nitty gritty, I need to feel some level of, oh, okay, I understand what this is at a deep level. So sometimes, like the surface things about acting and being in the industry and being in LA don't really attract me. But once I'm the kind of person who loves to break down the script and understand where my character is coming from, like I could spend hours on something like that. But then you have your actors who are very good and comfortable being, in front of the camera in terms of pictures and all that stuff, and that's very important
Yeah.
too. So I've been learning having to try to marry both worlds, understanding that I need to be seen as myself, but also I need to continue my work as an actor as well. So as you said, you're a private person. I tend to be private in that respect as well, because interviews aren't my favorite, like my first love at all. I've actually turned
And
down
some
some interviews because I'm just like, oh, I don't want to. I'm gonna end up saying the wrong thing, or I'm gonna feel like I'm putting and it's all things based on like
yeah,
what I feel like I do to embarrass myself. Never about the host, because if someone's gonna ask me, I trust that they know what they're doing as you know what you're doing. So yeah, it's been kind of like a love-hate relationship to get people to know me on that respect. So I'm like, no, just focus on the work. I'm that kind of a person. Just focus on the work. And if you see me performing, I would love to hear what you're saying, but also know the importance of letting people know who you are and telling your story, my story. So that's really why I'm trying to create this screenplay, so I can really get my story out there and maybe come across a little bit less reserved and private. Because I don't, it's just certain, I like to present things in a certain way. I'm a Virgo rising. I don't know if you know, are into any of that. But,
I'm a
but
Scorpio. So
yeah,
we know we're
so
wild, we're outrageous. My mom's a Libra, October 7th. Mine's is the
there
31st
you
of
go.
October. Halloween.
There you go.
So
So you understand that there's certain things that certain people really like have to get done first before they can unleash. And being a Scorpio, I know there's a lot of things that are, intense and undercover that you keep to yourself, that you want to keep to yourself, but there's still an aspect of you who wants to share it. But how you're going to present that, maybe.
absolutely. And Naptown asks us both a question for both of you. What change do y'all want to happen in your life in 2025?
Ooh.
Child, that's if Trump don't implement Project 2025 and we still around.
Amen.
That's the biggest fear I'm trying to fight right
That's
now for
right.
us so that it doesn't happen. But
Happen.
what would I like to happen in 2025?
You go
I,
first.
I I would like to see myself married and having a family sometime in the
That's,
future,
that's
and
beautiful.
someone to spend a gentleman to spend the rest of my life
That's
with.
beautiful.
Now, of course, the success of this platform, and I'm predicting my own network.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
All
manifesting.
possibilities. All possibilities. Something to change in my life. Yeah, love will be nice too. I am a single person. I'm not really dating, but maybe I'm open to dating in 2025. That's what it is. I'm gonna change. Hopefully, I can change my status as well. I'm open to dating because right now
Okay.
I've been on a leash a little bit and holding myself on that leash. So that's probably one thing that I can open up and try to do as well.
All right. And we got a question from my brother, the host of the K2 Spot. Shout outs to him. Make sure you guys please go and check him out. He said, "What is your passion project that you would want to accomplish in the future?"
Yeah, I wanna release some music, honestly. I wanna release like an EP or something like that. And I have released music in the past before, and they're all self-produced, self-written, and self-published. So I am an independent artist that way, and I'm passionate about that work. I'm passionate about releasing, passionate about singing my own music, my own words. So hopefully in 2025 you'll hear some new music from me.
All right. All right. More writing. Do we have any more questions? Let me check the question box down here. Nope, I don't see anything. So I think you guys answered it. But yeah, that's another thing we have to think about is our future. So I'm glad you touched on that.
Thank,
Naptown, because a
thank
lot
you.
of us we're now. It seems that the month August went by so fast. Before you know it, we'll be in
I know.
September, and then a whole new year. It seems like 2024 came here and just went. We'll be in 2025 before you know it. So I'm glad you asked about that. It's up to us to decide what we want our future to be.
Yes, sir.
I'm one that loves to create vision boards.
Oh,
So I'm always manifesting and putting what I want to happen for each year into my vision
that's
board.
great.
And one of the words that I put on my vision board is power.
Power.
I put power on there for a reason.
Mm,
And I've always found myself trying to be tough in all of these situations, but I realized that at the same time, also, it's okay to be vulnerable, to be in what everyone is saying in your soft era. It's
Yes.
okay to be vulnerable. That's what makes me powerful is when I'm vulnerable. Because I've always had to be stoic and tough all the time. But when I'm vulnerable, when I'm just like, okay, I want to be held today. I want to show emotion. I don't want to keep it all bottled up inside. I want to
Yeah.
cry. That's my power. So
I love that.
definitely.
I'm gonna take that. That's good. That's powerful. That's encouraging. It's inspiring.
Naptown said, what is your strength and
My
weakness?
my strength in terms of, mm, I like to be a shoulder to lean on. I also like to listen. There's a quality in me that I like to listen to hear people talk about themselves as well. Because I learn a lot through relationships. I learn a lot through what people tell me about themselves. Um, and I think that's one of my strong suits that I do love to listen. One of my weaknesses is that I tend to be a little bit self-critical. Um, there's that
Always critiquing
always
yourself. I
critiquing my.
guilty of it. I
This is
do it
why
all the time.
I hold so hard and so long on a lot of my artistic projects because I'm always self-editing. It's that Virgo rising part of me is that I'm always self-editing. I'm always trying to make something perfect, and I've gotten better, but I used to truly try to live in this world that is what I consider to be perfect, and that can kind of hinder a lot of advances.
And we're perfectionists. I don't know what it is about Virgos and Scorpios. One thing we would do when we stand on business, as everyone would say, we stand on business, we stand firm for what we believe
Yeah.
in, a passion, a goal, or a project that we want to complete, we go for it.
Mhm.
So I'm very critical of that too. I do it all the time. But my Island Yankee or my K-Tukes, they'll be like, you're deeply invested too much into this. You worry too
You
much.
guys,
You did great. And we always got to go back and find something wrong with it.
yeah,
But it's like, okay, relax. You did great.
yes,
Everybody else is saying that. But when you are a artist, you are making sure that every I is dot, every T is
yeah,
crossed, everything is perfect because people go back and they critique your own
yeah.
stuff. Even when you don't see it, they'll say it's good.
Mm.
But
But
okay,
it's you competition. You're in competition with yourself, whoever you are. You're in competition with yourself. You're not in competition with anybody else. So as long as you can make yourself happy, then I think that's the best place to start.
oh, the same question for me, and then underscore Ventura asked a question as well. Um, my strengths and my weaknesses. I would have to say my weakness. Mm, my weakness. I'm gonna start with my weakness
Hmm.
first. Um, mm, I wouldn't say I have any,
Hmm.
but I'm trying to think. What is a weakness? What is something that I would have to say? Doubting myself. I always doubt myself, and I've been that way since high school. That's one of my weaknesses
Yeah.
because I always go back. It's just like when you take a test, your teacher says, okay, this is the big final exam. And you study so hard for that, it's just like, oh my God, I got all this knowledge. What if I forget something?
Hmm.
But that's one of my strengths. I
I,
mean, weaknesses.
yeah.
Weaknesses right there is fear,
Mm.
for fear of forgetfulness, fear of all these things.
Yeah.
So that's one. My strengths. My strength comes from God. It comes from my mom.
Amen.
It comes from being surrounded by love. Those are some of the greatest strengths that anybody could ever wish for is being surrounded by love.
That's
Because when you are surrounded by love, nobody can take anything away from you. Nobody can tell you anything because you know you are deeply surrounded by people who care for you, who
that's
genuinely support you, who will be there in your corner every step of the way. And that's why I asked Sean here about what did your mama have to say? Because when we get into the entertainment business, the first thing our moms want to know is, okay, you gonna go to school, you gonna become a doctor, you gonna go to college, you gonna graduate. You ain't no,
stuff. Yeah.
you can do whatever you want to do on your time, but you gonna go and do this.
Yeah.
So my mom always wanted to make sure that we had a backup plan for each and every one of us, for my brothers as well as my sisters.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of us, but we had to make sure that we always had a backup plan. Like I said, with my brother, he chose to go into the
Wow.
military. I chose to go directly to beauty school
That's
because makeup, hair, fashion, that was something that I always wanted to
that's
specialize in.
great.
So that was the plan for each and every one of us. My sister wanted to be a nurse. My other sister writes children's
Wow.
books. So it's different. everybody has their own niche. My other brother's doing his thing with the music, and then another one is doing his thing with law enforcement. So everybody has their own niche, their own lane, and we all support each other. We might not communicate with each other, but we support each
That's
other
right.
and we see each other's growth.
Yeah.
So strength comes from family and love for me. When I'm showered by love, it is such a divine feeling, and it makes you feel good when you're surrounded by love because you know that people are there in your corner rooting you. Especially my grandmother. My grandmother is also one of my strengths. She keeps me going. So,
Yeah, my grandma's actually a big reason why I became an actor because I would sit
mm,
there and hang out with her. She'd be babysitting me. But while she's babysitting me, she's watching like, old Hollywood movies with Peter Sellers. And
mm,
she was so passionate about it. She would be yelling at the TV when the fight scene came on. And I always remembered that. And that was like a very poignant part of my life. Because I knew if she can get moved by people acting on TV, how can I also be a part of that? And move someone at home, someone else's grandma at home just by a performance like that. So yeah, grandma was very important to me. So
absolutely. So great question. Now Mav asked you a question. Let me go scroll back up. Mav says, "What are your top three cardinals or virtues?"
top three cardinals or virtues. Oh wow, that's deep. That's deep. I am a patient person. I do think I'm a patient person. If this is what you mean. Hi Kyle. How you doing? That's my friend Kyle. I'm a patient person. I think I'm a good listener, and I like to take care of people who care about me.
Um,
And you
it's
know,
human nature. You
yeah,
give. Yeah.
I like that. So that was a deep question. How about you?
Do we have any more questions for me? What are my top three?
Yeah,
I definitely, like you said, I love to give. I have a big heart, and I think we inherit what you just said from our parents. We are our parents' children. Because I will do certain things, and my grandmother will be like, you just like your mom. You don't back down. You don't give up on anything. And I definitely am. My mom is feisty. She's a Libra, and oh no, she's not
my
about to back
dad.
down on an argument. I've seen this woman in real time literally go toe to toe with somebody. She ain't about to let down on it. No, she don't, and I think I get that from her. So if you say you ready, you want to stop, she's not gonna stop
Mm,
until she's ready to
she's
stop.
right.
So I get that feistiness from her.
Resilience.
Another thing I would have to say is my
Yeah,
knowledge. She always made sure that she said education should be a key fundamental thing. If you get into this business, you make sure that you read, because my mom didn't know anything about hosting a platform, nothing. So she said, you make sure that you read, you do your research,
yes,
you got knowledge, you know what to do, you've been to school.
that's
So
good.
that's one thing she wanted me to have is knowledge. You can take away all the glitz and glamour, but one thing I want to have is my
Because they
knowledge,
can't take
knowing how everything works.
absolutely.
So the third thing I would have to say is my soul. Because
Mm,
I know when we go on, when God calls us home, a lot of people say, well, the person just passed away. No, the spirit still lingers. Like my sister's spirit is still
yeah.
here. My other grandmother, my father's mom, that passed away, her spirit is still here.
Oh
So
wow.
when we lose a loved one, their spirit is still here. And and what's so crazy, Sean, is that when we're doing something or we get nominated for something and it's just like you look up and it's just like you look around, okay, no, no, really,
Is your
they're
answer?
here.
Yeah, your
This can't be real.
answer.
This can't just be happening for no reason.
You're guided. I 100% believe that we're guided by our ancestors, and our ancestors are watching out for us. Even the ones that we weren't aware of are holding us by our bootstraps and making sure we get to where we need to get to day by day. So I agree with that. And I relate to that too. With my grandma being behind me, and that she was like the first person, the most important person to pass away. Um, that really meant something to me. That I felt like I lost something so deep. So I definitely know that she's still with me.
Excuse my dog barking, y'all.
I,
I told y'all.
I can't believe I'm parking in the back as well.
But yes, it's just like when we go on through life and we see all of these.
That's okay. Let him
Oh,
go.
that's my and him going back and forth, y'all.
Yeah.
But I was saying this, when we go through life and all of these great things just start to happen, we have a moment of like deja vu, like, wait, this can't be real. Like I manifested that this was going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. My grandmother's not here to
Mm-hmm.
see it. So could she be sending me a sign or something? You start to think all of these things in the back of your mind, like, this can't be real. I had to
Mm-hmm.
pitch myself, like, am I dreaming? Like, are
Yeah.
you trying to tell me something?
Dreams
And
are
they'll send
so
us signs in crazy ways.
yeah. Dreams are so real. Like to the point where I've even when I was younger and really pursuing Broadway, there was a time where I was dreaming about being on Broadway. Like it was so vivid in my mind and my dreams. I would see myself backstage in costume, waiting to make my entrance on stage. And then when I finally got the call in real life that I was going to make, an appearance in a Broadway show, it just solidified the fact that your dreams do matter. They're so real. So I'm 100% about somebody who you write your dreams down, clear as day, because it really will happen.
And my mom, she gave me little diaries to write things in and books to write Bible verses and scriptures in. And every morning when I get up, the first thing that I do is I read my morning devotion and I have my prayer and conversation with God.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also go in and I do my affirmations. And one of the affirmations is, today is going to be an amazing day. Great things and great possibilities are going to come. So when you speak it out in the universe, it's going to happen. And I'm a firm believer that if you speak it, it's going to happen.
Yep,
And I spoke it. I said, I'm going to have a platform. I'm going to have my own talk
I
show.
love that.
I'm going to have all of these great things happening to me. And it's now happened. And it's just like real. You don't see the impact that you're having. You don't
No,
see the
no.
people that you're sitting with. Because Kate Tooks will remind me, do you realize what you just did, who you just had on your platform, who you just sat with on your platform, and how big that was? And sometimes I don't even see it. I just be going in there like,
It's going through it because you're living
right.
your dream. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Hmm. That is a
And when you're living your dream, when you're living your dream and when you're living your passions, it's such a good feeling because it's just like this is something you wanted to do. You dreamt about since childhood. You've seen other people do it or grow up watching that person, and it's just like, okay, it's my turn
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So
That
you can't mess up.
one of my dreams. Actually, as you brought that up, was to work with Loretta Devine. I think Loretta Devine is one of the most phenomenal, if not the most phenomenal actress. It was that Waiting to Exhale lineup. It was Angela Bassett, Loretta Devine, Whitney Houston. Now I'm terrible at the names are slipping, but of course you know the
Layla
lineup.
Rochon.
Layla Rashad,
Layla Rochon. Yes.
Layla Rashad, and when I booked Family Reunion, I got to meet Loretta Devine,
And her birthday
and
is today
oh,
too.
look
So
at that! Oh, that
yeah.
solidifies it even more. Happy birthday, Miss Loretta Devine. When I met her, she was everything that I could imagine her to be, and then some. She was so wonderful. So just you talking about living your dreams and making sure you have goals and a vision board and all those different things. That was particularly mine to work with her. On top of, I had a story to share with her on set, and there was a day before I ever met her, I ran into her and I was just fanboying over her, just telling how much I loved her. And she was like, she said to me, she said, "Oh, I can't wait to see your face on that big screen in there too." And I just held on to that. And then when I saw actually got to work with her, I told her that story. And the funny thing is, how funny she is. I said, Miss Fleur Devine, I said, you said something to me. Do you remember what you said? Oh, Romy, man. She was like, did I say something bad? Oh, she was like, it was just so funny how she said it. But I said, no, you were the most encouraging person in the world. And I just wanted to thank you for that. Even if you don't remember what you said, the fact that I'm standing next to you on this set playing a role with you, part of it has to do with how you encouraged me. So that's a really beautiful moment for me in my career. So dreams are real.
Absolutely. And I mean, she is one I've watched interviews with her. She's always been encouraging. She's always been one of the ones to keep going, to keep persevering. And I remember her sharing a story about how difficult it was for her to get to that point in her career.
Definitely.
And I mean, she's one of the original Dream Girls. We
Oh,
can never forget that.
was
One of the original Dream Girls. So we talk about Broadway. That's Black
that
Broadway history right there. I mean, you have Shirley Ralph, Jennifer Holliday, and then you have Loretta Devine. So I mean, it was an all ensemble cast. We can't
I
forget
can't
that.
forget that at all. Yeah, that's iconic. Definitely.
My brother says Loretta Devine is one of my favorite actresses,
Yeah,
and it's funny that her birthday is today.
today's her
Yep,
birthday.
it
That
sure is.
makes her a Leo, like my mother. My mother also a Leo, right?
Yes,
Or she is she's the first day of Virgo. Today's the 21st. Maybe she's Virgo. Yeah.
yes. All right, fashion dolls.
Mhm.
Before we close out, this is such an amazing conversation, and we hope that that everyone has taken some gems along with them throughout this conversation today as well, too. So before we let Sean go, this is such a great combo. We're gonna do something called the Fab Five.
Okay.
And my guests have to tell me five fabulous things that they can't live without.
Oh,
All right? And then we're going to do something called Turn the
okay.
Tables. And then my guests get to ask me as many questions as they want to on life, on experience, fashion, beauty, whatever they want to know. We'll do that in the Turn the Table segment.
Oh,
But we're going to start off with the Fab Five. Now, y'all know Miss Stevie loves fabulous things from perfumes to fashion. You name it, I love it. It's got to be beautiful. Sean, you have to give me five things that you can't live without that are fabulous to you.
oh wow. Wow. Five things. My puppy.
Oh,
I think my puppy
oh,
is fabulous. He's a little Shiba Inu. His name is Akio. He turns 3 next month. That's one. I love Burt's Bees chapstick. I love to keep my lips chapped, moisturized. My sunglasses, my sunnies. Not any particular pair, just like to protect my eyes. My Apple Watch keeps me helps me keep active and keep healthy. And five, oh man, the fifth one, my water bottle. Stay hydrated.
all right.
Stay
Definitely. That is a must, especially during the summer
Yeah,
months. Got to keep the skin looking right, got to keep
keep
everything
hydrated,
looking right.
keep
And
healthy.
absolutely. All right, fashion dolls, it is time. I'm so nervous because I don't know what Sean he is going to ask me. So I set myself up for this, y'all. It is time to turn those tables. And I'm going to pass it on down to Sean here. And Sean is going to ask me some questions. And for my new viewers, you get to know a little bit about me through Sean's questioning. So take it away, Sean.
Yes, Miss Stevie. Tell me about how you began your journey through fashion and hair.
Right at high school, we were sitting down in the cafeteria, and my sister principal, she walked by me. You know, she was doodling, saw me doodling or whatever, and she tapped me on the shoulder and she said, "Hey, I see you like fashion. You like to sketch because I wanted to do fashion illustration." So she came up and she said, "I'll bring you some Vogue magazines tomorrow." All right, Sean. The next day, brace yourselves. When I came in, because I always stopped by her office. We wasn't supposed to go through where the teachers were supposed to come in, but I did, being a rebel, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I came in right through there, and I stopped by right at her office,
Mm-hmm.
as if was supposed to go through the back where the buses stopped.
Right.
So I stopped right in her office, and she was doing this. She always would prep her hair in the mirror, and she's a very prim, proper woman, and she was also an AKA too. So that's how I remember about her.
I see.
But she said, "Go to my car for a minute," and I went to the car, and she gave me the keys. Like, teacher's supposed to be doing this, so she gave me the keys, and I went on her back seat. She said, "Check out on the back seat." When I tell y'all, this woman had almost every issue of Vogue magazine, of Papa's Bazaar, and it was thicker than this. This
Right.
is not big enough, but they were thicker than that. They at least had 800 pages, and I was just like, my eyes, like, what am I supposed to do? Because coming from middle school, the only designers that we heard of was what?
Right.
Aeropostale and Abercrombie and
Old Navy.
Fitch. But I'm just like, it's a whole Old Navy. This is a whole nother world right here. You're talking Dior. You're talking Christian Dior. My bad. Christian Dior, Valentino, Oscar de la Renta. I mean, an array of these just luxury fashion houses. And
Nice.
I'm just like, oh my God. So she introduced me to a whole new world of fashion, which is couture fashion. And then how the hairstyling aspect came about with doing hair was watching my mom do my sister's hair,
Right.
and then watching my grandmother do my aunt, my mom's hair. right there in her home. And it would be the old fashioned way. It would be rather getting a curling irons that you have to heat up on the stove, or the hot comb you have to heat up on the stove, or getting their hair
It's the name
relaxed and then blow dry
for
them.
Mark.
All of these
Oh,
different things.
that-
Yes, the gold and black Marcells.
yeah.
Yep.
There was a time in my life where I was really into hair as well. I might have become a hairstylist, cosmetologist, if I didn't fall so heavy into acting and performing. But I love beauty. I love fashion. I may not be involved with it so much right now in my life, but there was a time where I was doing the same thing. My mom's, aunts, grandma's, friends' hairs too. Makeup, they would come to me. I would braid them, extensions. I could still do it. Just haven't really put any effort into it. So I love to hear that.
Yeah, so that's where I got the inspiration from, was just my watching my grandmother. And then they would go to the hairdressers and the hair salons, and I would tag along and go right with them.
That's great.
So,
That's really good. Okay. Are you, so you said you have four brothers and two sisters, and one has left us now.
yes.
Okay. How was that like growing up with so many siblings?
We would argue, we would fuss, we would fight. It wouldn't be for mom's attention though. It would be more so for, let's say, hey, I want this, I want this, school clothes shopping, those type of things. And everybody would be competing to see who made the best grade. Little things like that. That's what I remember. So yeah.
Where are you the eldest? Are you in the middle?
I'm not the eldest. I have an older brother. My older brother's like in his
Okay.
40s, close to his 50s, and then my other brother is in his 20s. The other two are like in their 40s as well too. So I'm in the 30s. So I would say right there between.
That's
So
great. No, I'm a middle child too, and I think us middle children have to be so diplomatic. You kind of have to know both sides. You kind of have to be reading the room in a certain kind of way. So I always like to know
yes,
where you are, where people are aligned in their sibling lineup.
and and then my mom would equally give us each undivided attention. If we had school programs, AB honor rolls, she would give each and every one of us attention, and that's how it should be if you have
That's
siblings,
fun.
because you're balancing out so many different personalities. Everybody has their own personality or their own sense of style, or they know what they like my sister that passed, I know that blue was one of her colors, so that's why I chose this season with the colors. And you guys wonder, why does she always send purple and blue hearts whenever she sends a message?
Mm.
Blue is significant to me because that's why. That's why I chose blue, because that was her favorite color.
Oh,
And I chose purple for royalty, which was also one of her favorite colors too. But she liked blue more than anything. So that's why it's personal to me.
one last question: if someone was coming out to your part of town, what restaurant would you recommend, hands down?
It Oh my God, it's so many. I know they're so bad. I love Southern home cooking, like
Mm.
my grandmother and my mom, and then my aunt, and then sometimes my dad. My dad's spaghetti is just everything,
Mm.
but New York style spaghetti with the big
Yeah.
meatballs. So I would have to say, A Taste of Soul is a restaurant down here called A Taste of Soul,
Okay.
and when I tell you, it is like you go to Thanksgiving, you're gonna have everything there. They even have seafood in the
Oh,
restaurant, y'all. So you're gonna get a taste of
taste of
soul. It definitely fits its name. Like you, of course, your traditional fried chicken, your macaroni, your catfish,
pickles.
your collard greens, uh, mashed potatoes, whatever you like. This restaurant has it. It's called A Taste of Soul.
Taste of Soul. Okay, I'll check that out. And you said you're in New York.
South Carolina. I'm in
South Carolina,
South Carolina, but I have
which
family in New York,
your
so I
family.
know the five boroughs: the Brooklyn, Brownsville. Yep.
Okay,
Hmm.
excellent. Really cool. Taste of Soul. I like to go to different restaurants, and try different foods too. So that's good. I've never been to South Carolina, I don't think. So I have to make a trip out there to go to Taste of Soul.
Lots of Sean. I'm letting you know now because you said you try to watch what you eat. You're gonna be enamored at the barbecue restaurants, like it's so many down here. If you're going to the South, you've got that. Just like if you go to Louisiana, Louisiana is known for doing what things that are spicy.
Hmm.
They're known for doing things that are just out of, even with their crawfish.
Right.
So the South is about that Southern hospitality. So coming down here to our restaurants, it's more so you're gonna get what your comfort foods that you
Right.
like during the winter months or Thanksgiving. You know, mashed potatoes, collard greens, fried chicken,
Full experience.
macaroni and
Love that.
cheese, black eyed peas and rice. You're gonna have everything if you come down to the South or any Southern country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Awesome. I'm excited.
All right, fashion dolls, and I think that just about concludes this amazing conversation. I had such a great time, Sean. You are a breath of fresh air, and I had a great time today. So, before we let you go, what are some words of encouragement that you would give to the next actor that is following along in your footsteps?
Hmm. Be yourself and always remember why you started. Always find a way to connect to your foundation, connect to that moment that you said for yourself that this is where I'm supposed to be because I feel the most alive in this atmosphere. Always staying connected to that moment of why you started. I think that would take you a very long way. And yeah, be kind to yourself and be kind to others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And today's final thought, Fashion Dolls, comes from Malcolm X, and this is on action. He says, I, for one, believe that if you give people a thorough understanding of what confronts them and the basic causes that produce it, they'll create their own program. And when people create a program, you get
Mm.
action. So we are now in the fight of our lives in this upcoming election season. And it's imperative, as Sean stated in this interview, that our voices are heard. Black creatives, we speak up louder than ever. That's taking action. And I'm going to go back to a quote from Baynard Ruster. He said that we must be the good, the angelic type of troublemakers.
Mm.
So if you're not out here making noise, you're not doing anything, and it's going to require action. It's going to require willpower. It's going to require hard work, which is what our beautiful, gorgeous Madam Vice President Kamala Harris has stated. She said it's going to be a fight. So for any part of your life, any part of your career that you are going for, believe that it is going to be a fight. You're going to have no's. You're going to have people
Any,
tell you, no, you can't do this. But at the end of the day, you keep going. And I've always been one to prove
yeah,
people wrong. And I get that from my mother. My mom doesn't give up easily.
persevere.
She's a fighter. I'm a
I love
fighter too. And we inherit that from our parents. It's natural. It's human nature to all of us.
survive.
So keep going.
And
Remember that.
survive, but beyond that, to thrive. So, and it takes resilience and it takes perseverance and it takes
Yes.
you to stand in the face of adversity, to build yourself, to build on that shell that scorpions have unnaturally. Have their armor to dig deep into the unknown. So that is powerful what you just said.
Absolutely, and I want you guys to have that same mentality. Keep going. I tell you this all the time too, live life through fire. If you have a passion or a desire that you want to go after, you want to pursue acting, you want to pursue hairstyling career, you want to pursue production, go for it. Don't let anybody discourage you and tell you that you can't. And I'm gonna finish up with that because we'd be here all day. I'd given a master class, but um, I want you all to take in everything we've said. No, not tomorrow. But yes, fashion dolls, I love you all and I want you all to be safe. And Sean, where can everyone follow you and check
You
you out?
can follow me here on Instagram at Mr. Sean Samuels and on Twitter at Mr. Sean Samuels as well.
All right, fashion dolls. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Emmy nominated actor Sean
Thank you.
Samuels. Thank you so
I
much, Sean. I had such a great time.
appreciate
We
it.
got
Thank
to
you
do
for
this again.
God
All
bless.
right. And joining me tomorrow, Fashion Dolls, be sure to tune in. We have Eric S. Swindle. The journey to 700 interviews continues. This is 664, I
Wow.
want to say. So thank y'all so much. Thank y'all.
Have a good one. Bye, everyone.
You too.